Hello, it's Eric from E.M.B.R, and today we're doing Zwift Epic Racing Club. A few changes came to this in April. It's always been mass start, but now you're forced into the category. So A, B, C, D. You're going to be in the jersey of your category. You can't race up. All those sorts of things. Good fun race. You can see the routes that are coming up throughout April. For me, just looking for a nice intensity effort on the weekend. Probably chased Brian Duffy a few too many times in this, but I was trying to have fun, get some intervals in during this space cycle. Good race. Enjoy. For editing and commentary on this one, it is a 10-lap race. Not all of them are that exciting. Some of them are. So what I'm going to do is time lapse the ones where nothing much is going on, and then I'll normal speed and do some commentary on the sort of the inflection points on some breaks and those sorts of things. So I'll have chapter markers in, so you can use those to jump around to the key points as well if you want to do that instead. So it's been fairly chill the first part up. We hit the flats here. White helmet zooms by. Brian Duffy.
Bye, Brian.
My wisdom was there. I said, bye, Brian. But then did I allow it to be bye, Brian? No. Because I see a couple more riders go up and I kick power. At this point I'm thinking, well, if it's just Brian, one thing. But if it's Brian plus 2 or 3 more, I want to be part of that. And with my power and my legs fresh, I hit this, and yeah, Neebling and Duffy are up here, and the other folks are starting to fall off the back a little bit. So not necessarily intentional here that I'm chasing and trying to go with a break on the first lap with Brian Duffy, because that's probably a bad plan. Just how it happened, and now we got a 3-second gap, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do work per se. We're going to hit a little descent here, but I'll try to ride along and see how long it lasts. For the record, the reason I'm saying I'm not going to do a lot of work here is because I can't do work and hang with Duffy. I can maybe, if he's not going that hard, hang in his wheel, but I can't be pulling him around. That's not that's not my fitness. But as long as he's pulling, and again, you can see he's 6.5 more, and Neebling's at something. I'm mostly chilling. I got to pull up to 6 a little bit on occasion here, but for the most part, my hope is that while they're pushing 6, I can be doing 2.9 or 4. You see what I'm saying? Neebling puts a big dig though, even on the downhill. I know I got to punch a little power here to stay on that. But overall, if he's doing 6 and Brian, you can see doing 3, I'm doing 2.8. If we could keep this sort of thing up for a while, it's feasible. I can occasionally surge, and we're 6-second gap. Again, lap 1 is a problem, me not doing work, maybe not a great thing. Again, it was not a plan. It was just hey, it happened. Let's see what happened, and let's see where we go from there, right? And on a descent, there's really not much to do. When we get to the flats, we'll see if they continue to want to work. 7-second gap, not bad. This will be relevant though, because this is not going to be the last time Duffy and Niebling make a break. Let me just, without spoiling too much, just say that. And it's a good thing to be part of it, because gaps can open, and if they're pushing hard enough, they're pushing hard at the field, and the field's like, it's Duffy, we can't chase him. That's where a big glycolytic sort of snap to a wheel that others didn't do, and suddenly you're up the road and no one wants to make the chase then. And I'm chilling at 3 and Niebling's at 7, so you can kind of see where I'm getting at here. You attach yourself to one of these and they don't really bust you. You can catch a taxi, even if the taxi's going fast. I have surged a little bit, but it's not terrible. Duffy's in my wheel, which and there Niebling shuts it down. I think he was getting tired of being the taxi, and I'm like, well, we got 9 seconds at this point. I'll do a little work. Of course, my little work is not the 6 or 7 watts that Niebling was doing. Duffy shut it down to 0. This is how the break. Even though we got a 10-second gap, I don't think they want to tow my old ass around. Is probably why this starts to slow down. I needed to do my part to pull 6 or 7. The reality is, if I do that, I'm gonna break. I just don't have 5 or 6 watts sustain. I can hold your wheel for 4 watts, but I can't pull. But we're still away, and we're starting to come up on the second lap of the comp, so we'll pick it up there in a little bit. Second lap of the calm starts. We're still away 11 seconds with Niebling and Duffy. Again, I'm still not doing a ton of work. I'm just hoping that as they put power down, I assume they're going to put some decent power down on this first bit of the incline, and then through the flats, etc. And we're 13 seconds on the field, so we're still going faster generally than the field. Niebling's putting 5+ out, and I'm able to do 3 to 4. Duffy's sort of chilling behind, but yes, at this point, again, way too early. Lap 1 or now lap 2, I guess, but gap is forming, so not feeling too terrible, and I'm in it at this point. And, barring them just surging super hard and dropping me, I'm gonna stay in the wheel. Punch a little bit of power here, and that actually takes me through Niebling. I think I just hit a little more power than they did as we come up to the crest here. My helmet comes out in front of his, and I'm like, okay, you got the old guy pulling again. That's probably not going to be good for the overall time gap. 3, you can see the field behind us is 7 and 8 pushing their way up the incline still. 15 seconds, and yeah, my 4.1 is not good enough by any stretch, so Niebling comes back out in front. And again, do I deserve to be in this break? Yeah, I am in the break. Whether I deserve to be and whether I'm doing my part, yeah, I can't. I don't have Niebling or Duffy's fitness. So I've said it more than once, but I'm hoping I can just hold his wheel. And again, I know I've got enough power short term to pop up these inclines like this and stick with them. So there's no trouble there. But field is closing on us. We didn't take that flat section as fast as we could have. They're within 11 seconds now. Maybe they're getting a little bit motivated to catch us. I'm trying to take just enough speed to get over the crest here, but I don't. Again, with 9 laps to go or 8 laps to go, I can't be the guy pulling. Niebling's back up on pace. Duffy and I are kind of both chilling in the back here. I just don't want to get detached if Niebling puts a big surge, which he is, as you can see there. Trying to pick up some speed. So I got to pop a little bit. Field's within 8 seconds. You know, it's a sub 10 now. We're on a descent. Not in our favor. Yeah, Niebling's not pushing 5 or 6 anymore. He's sort of more into 4 and 5, and the field's going faster. Duffy comes to the front, which is good. You know, again, whether I think part of it is it's so early. You know, whether we're gonna do super hard work here, but you get this little incline here before it descends. So little surge there, but the field's within 5. You can kind of start to be a, you know, catch. This one's probably not gonna last. You're certainly getting that feeling with the descent here. Upcoming. Duffy's not really going hard, and Niebling sort of shut it down. I'm not certainly going to be trying to extend it at this point. Yeah, barring we keep the pressure up, field's coming back. Duffy's completely shut it down. Niebling's still kind of going, and I'm out front. And I'm like, yeah, we're caught. All good. We'll settle in. Try to just, as the field comes by, pick them back up, and then we'll see where the race goes.
Guys, kind of. At least we can see. Wait, something like that. Something like that. In the late. Oh, look at Get that angle.
Alright, we're coming up on the 7th comm here. It's been mostly civilized, and then there goes that white helmet again. And I don't know, maybe I was emboldened by the first time. I hit it again. He doesn't seem like he's keeping it going though. This is where, did he mean it this time? Or are we really gonna go? We have a gap there. Another guy comes through. Duffy picks it back up again. Hey, maybe we do have some legs here. So I'm gonna follow. Niebeling's not in this one at the moment, but yeah, with Brian pushing 6, I'm like, let's see what happens again. I don't know. You say wisdom comes with age. Maybe sometimes senility comes with age, or just bad judgment. All right, we're going for it.
It's suicide. We know.
5-second gap. Again, it's someone putting with Brian pushing it. As long as you're willing to do that initial snap and then get in the wheel, it's functional. And again, if he can absolutely hammer harder and drop me on something like this, if he was in like in an elite race, I'm sure I'd be falling right off the back. But at this pace, it's sustainable. I got to hit some watts. But what I can't do is sustain 5 and 6 watts a kilo for like 10 minutes. What I can do is hit surges like that, recover, and then hover in a wheel at 4 something. So 13-second gap again, just like that. Niebling, you see some orange numbers on him. I don't know if he's going to try to tow the field back to us. I'm sure he does not want to be on the wrong side of this gap, and he missed it. But for my part, 3 of us, Duffy's hitting it a little hard. I gotta up the pace here, or I'm gonna get dropped. But I got this hill coming up, and again, I generally have good strength and good power. I can close when we hit a short spike like this. Again, the bad news is Niebling's on the wrong side of the brake, and he's probably gonna be doing work towing the field. The Bisker Cycles guy, it's the first time I've seen him in the race, but he seems like he's able to do some work. I'm just trying to grab a wheel at this point. We got 12 seconds. 10 to Niebling, who's pulling the field very clearly, sadly. And with me at the front, probably not ideal, because I'm saving power till we get to this next little bump, but I'm definitely not wanting to be the one, as we said in the first break, the one who's towing these guys around, because 3 to 4 laps to go effectively, that's not going to work. But you got now Nagayama doing 6.5, dragging the field back as well. Duffy's doing 5 point something. And Niebling and Nagayama, which we'll see more of those guys as we go here. But those two pulling the front back is not a good thing. Needed Niebling in this side of the brake and we'd have been okay, and then he was on that side of the brake. That just doesn't bode well for us. Duffy's already stopped. He's 2 seconds back. He shut it down. Nagayama's got him. Niebling's there. So that one again. The bad news was Niebling was on the wrong side of the brake. He was towing the field, and if I'm the one left to do the work, then we're not going anywhere. Now, I'm time lapsing this next section. It does sort of calm down, but you can see Nagayama ride through. He was one of the ones pulling the group back to us. We pull him back here. And I'm not sure exactly what happened here. All I can tell you is, in my head, it calmed down, and I don't even remember Nagayama doing what he's about to do, which is slowly ride off the front, right there. And I don't know if we all just made the decision that wasn't going to last, or it wasn't worth chasing at the moment. Again, I zoned out. And I'm just with the field, and I completely missed that happen. But he's just whoop. That wasn't even like a big effort to establish that. He just subtly put down more power than we did. We didn't chase, and he's off to the ether. But outside of that, I'm just riding with the group at this point, not even realizing how far Nagayama went up, and we'll pick it up on the next time where I'm actually paying attention to something and try to follow a break. All right, as we get in here, I see Duffy's going like with speed, and I figure I'm gonna accelerate a little bit. Nothing. he fakes it and stops, and I nose to the wind because I started to ramp up. So I figure, all right, we're gonna sit back down again, get our nose back in the draft, down in the gray. All's well. But I'm thinking that because we're 2 hills to go, that this could be sort of a long break. So I'm trying to, if he goes again, I'd like to be on his wheel. Again, not that I think I can beat Brian Duffy, but he might be able to drag me away. And again, now he's going. I'm like, okay, the first one was a feint. Now he's really going. So I up power, and he stops again. I'm like, come on, man.
All right, Brian.
It's kind of funny though. He trolled me twice, but all I can do is sort of sit back down again, try to let the draft come about. Nieblin's another guy I got to watch because he's been in the break with Brian and I. But
Ha ha. Baiting the 53-year-old. You don't need gamesmanship to beat me.
yeah, and I think I've said it a few times. I do not expect to beat Brian. I'm just hoping I could get in his wheel and get dragged away. And maybe people will see him and be intimidated by the fact that it's him and not Chase. That was my only goal here. But there we go. I see Duffy go again this time. You can see his white helmet. And I'm like, he's going to mean it this time for sure. I hope he means it for real this time for sure. But again, get an effort to pop up to his wheel. Niebling, you can see, went a few other orange numbers as well. Again, one of my benefits is I do have good spiky power, but I can jam up a hill with some speed here and get on his wheel. I let Niebling come through just so I can catch some more draft to get to Brian's wheel. Truly, I don't think Brian's going as hard as he can right now. If he was, again, he would just drop me. But I'm hoping he's going hard enough that we can pull away from the field. We're starting to open a little bit of a gap. They're starting to open up a little gap on me, so I gotta push. Big kick here. Definitely got to get some power. We got a 5-second gap, so it's not bad. And then Niebling continues on over the crest, which is smart. I'm kind of a little bit gassed, but Duffy's not going, and I thought he would. And when he sits back, I'm like, well, Niebling might be, to hit hard to get to Niebling's wheel. I'm like, maybe we'll let him dangle and the field will catch him. Brian's not going at this point. Perhaps a mistake here, but yeah, I'm just sort of sitting back, letting the field come. This is kind of a critical part of the race here, and I've lost track of where Brian's at this point. And I know that Niebling's up the road, but I'm just sort of sitting in the draft here thinking, hey, he's dangling, we might be all right. No idea where Brian's got to. I figure he's at the back, and yeah, we just got 2 up the road. The guy that's been up the road the whole time, and Niebling, and we probably can bring him back. But just sort of sitting here and thinking everything's cool. And watch this white helmet come by me with authority. There he goes. And I didn't realize it was Brian. I just saw someone going with speed. Yeah, I just know, hey, he's gone for a while. That was the move.
At least for the moment.
You'll see as the video, or as this lap progresses, the gap. Brian snaps to the Sisu rider's wheel, and then we're not chasing, and so the gap goes. That was the time I had to jump to his wheel and didn't. And it's just one of those things, a little bit of racing, more awareness, or just I don't know what, but yeah, that was the time that I probably had the pop to jump to his wheel, Brian's wheel, and follow him over to the Sisu rider, but we missed it. And I'm going to time lapse for a second here because we lose track of Niebling's and Duffy's names on the right. but I'm going to slow it back down when we can see them again, so you can kind of see the pace that they're keeping versus us. Here, if you look on the right, you can see Needling is pushing 5-6 watts a kilo, and you'll see Brian is in his wheel at some point at 4 something. We're all back here pushing 2 to 3 watts a kilo, and those guys are up 8 seconds up the road, just pushing harder than we are at this point. And that's what's gonna just cause that gap to the balloon. And could I have held 4.5 watts or something like that in their wheel? Although right there they were pushing 6 and 7. I think they're on the ramp at that point. But yeah, it's just that they're riding hard enough at this point. We're all in the gray and blue, and the gap just goes and goes and goes. And they're to hammer to cover that gap from where I am to they're at right now. It was too late. The opportunity was missed. So we just got to deal with it. But about a lap and a half to go. First to third, podium's basically up the road, so racing for fourth, and we just got to do the best we can with that. I'm going to time lapse until the final 700 meters where we're trying to set up the sprint. Final 700 meters here. I'm a little close to the front, so I'm trying to fall back a little bit, not get too far. You can see I'm like almost stopping pedaling there because my nose did get out. Yeah, just trying to set up the sprint here. Feel like my legs are alright, but I don't always necessarily trust them. First and third are already gone up the road with Duffy, and so now that lead out goes, or I'm thinking that's my lead out. I'm going to go here. My legs were good, and sadly I went right through him far quicker than I had hoped. And now my nose is in the wind, and I'm just grunting out power, and people behind me are drafting, and that's not a good thing. I just became everybody's lead out. So not ideal. And there goes it. I don't know why I sat up. I'm annoyed at myself for that. I had the legs that pushed it. But bungled the sprint, no question.
Too early. Good race though. If I hadn't lit up, that would have been fourth.
And here are the broader racing results showing overall power for the duration as well as different intervals. I was pretty efficient there at 3.675 for the race. Yeah, all about that finish.
Sprint jersey does not get you the win, friends. It was a fucking solid sprint. Just draft and tactics win over power if you don't get it right. Too long out in the wind. Didn't steer them out of my draft, etc., etc. Went too early. Good race though. Good training impulse to mix up all the volume zone 2 I've been doing. And we're back to that tomorrow. This was the intensity. 2 chances at intensity each week. Everything else is base right now. I thought trying to follow the first bike as lead out, what I have to remember is that first bike isn't always going to have the power I do, and then I'm in the wind. I have to trust my power a bit more and go a little bit later from a better position. That was a lesson learned, but sometimes I don't have those watts at the end. We got a good rest. That's what I just got to take inventory of how the legs are feeling and then judge where and when I go from there. I was feeling good. I should have waited. Tactically, we just messed up. Physically, we were actually good. Especially I burned some matches playing around with Duffy in the middle laps. Recovered well from that, but rattled out for it as well. And this is basically just interval rest, interval rest, interval rest. If you're glycolytic with short power, which is my strength, sets up well, although the number of them tests my durability, which is a weakness. But overall, not bad. Not bad. And heart rate's already back down, which is also another good sign. This base volume I've been doing the past couple weeks is making a difference. Sleep is better, resting heart rate's better. There's just a number of markers that are improving already. So we're gonna keep it up through April and May. 2 intensity sessions, 5 volume zone 2, rinse, wash, or wash, rinse, repeat for a couple months, and we'll see where we're at. But it's agreeing with me quite well right now. I'm fresh for the races, and all my other health metrics are doing quite well. All right. All right. Those are good signs too. All right. Just intervals. The middle ones weren't too bad. A couple ones where I chased Duffy. Good peak power. I'll say my resting heart rate's down with all this base mileage, so is my peak. Although, that could just be such a short effort. I mean, it felt long as hell when I was in it, but technically a short effort. Yeah. So, good peak. I just fell off quicker. Needed to sustain more time. I mean, it's at the end of 10 laps at Deca, so go figure. That personal best of 30 was fresh legs in a workout session, targeting 30 seconds. Not bad.
The intervals metrics give you a better view in terms of just the way the heart would go up and then recover quite well on the rest we were getting each lap. W.B.L only went to the bottom at the very end on that sprint, so but yeah, good overall effort. From a physical perspective, just could have managed to finish better. Yeah, for the rest of the month here, April, I'm going to be doing this Epic series on Saturdays. I'll be doing the ZHQ After Party series on Tuesdays, and the rest of my training is all going to be just base volume zone 2 and some strength training, which I may do some videos on that as well, but we'll see. If you stuck with me for this long, thanks for watching, and we'll see you Tuesday. See you guys. Bye.